Module 5. Lifelong learning. Exercise 2, page 87.
Welcome to the show, and today our guest is Dr. Tom Baker, author of Lifelong Learning, a new book which has got a lot of people talking. So tell us a bit about the book.
Well, basically it's about how and when we acquire different skills in life. I discuss the skills we develop throughout our lives and how learning is a lifelong process, and not just something we do between the ages of 5 and 18 when we receive our formal education.
I see. What sort of skills do you mean?
Well, we all need a wide range of skills in order to succeed in life. For example, we need to learn cognitive skills to be able to develop our concentration and memory, and learn how to think so that we can begin problem solving. We also need perceptual skills so we can interpret presented information, and social skills in order to be able to relate well to other people. Then there are all sorts of sub-skills such as creative thinking and decision-making, not to mention practical skills and work-related skills.
So how, when, and where do we learn these skills?
A lot of these skills we learn naturally from being in different social situations and environments. We literally pick them up without realizing it. However, others we have to work hard to acquire.
I see.
Cognitive skill development, for example, begins naturally in infancy and is primarily encouraged by parents and family. But it is further developed at nursery school by caregivers with educational toys and games. And then when we go to school, college, university, and beyond, we develop these skills further.
So educational institutions are obviously very important then?
Of course. Everyone should receive an education that helps them to develop important skills such as independent thought and judgment. They also need to be able to make their own decisions, solve their own problems, and shoulder their own responsibilities. Teachers, parents, and caregivers can help children to grow up with the personal resources and intellectual tools they need to understand the world and behave as responsible human beings. But we are learning all the time from all sorts of different influences.
Specifically?
Well, we develop social skills from interacting with our peers, joining social groups, making friends at school, meeting and working with colleagues in the workplace, and so on.
Aha!
In truth, we never stop learning, and our understanding can be developed and improved by all kinds of human experiences. Take traveling, for example. Many teenagers take a gap year between uni and starting work to travel and have varied and interesting experiences. Other people retire somewhere warm and find themselves learning a new language in their later years.
Okay, but what about people who don't do well in school, don't go to university, have a boring, repetitive job, and don't have the opportunity to go abroad? What opportunities do they have to learn?
Well, we all have free time. Our leisure activities are important learning opportunities. We can learn physical skills, artistic skills, and practical skills at any age from the different activities we do in our free time. Most people these days have a computer, and everyone can develop their IT skills and open themselves to the internet, which is a huge source of information for people who want to learn anything and everything.
That's fair enough, but what of the absolute sloth who does nothing in their free time except flop down in front of the TV?
They can learn from TV and radio programs, magazines, newspapers, and so on. They can learn to filter and organize information so they find what is interesting to them amongst the visual and audio messages they are bombarded with.
Okay, now I happen to think that the most important life skills are common sense and good judgment, but these are not taught in schools or anywhere. How can someone develop these skills?
Well, these are more or less innate skills that we pick up by going through different life experiences. Basically, learning by our mistakes, or better still, by watching others' mistakes and not making the same ones.
Well, it's a fascinating topic, but I'm afraid we're out of time. Lifelong learning is available now from all leading retailers. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Five A. Extraordinary skills. Exercise 1, page 88.
Balance body on the tips of spears. Lie on a bed of nails. Break bricks on someone's body. Throw oneself into the air. Walk barefoot up a staircase of knives. Fight blindfolded. Do the splits. Stand still with legs bent. Crawl on hands and knees down a mountain.
Exercise 8, page 89.
Training with the Shaolin Monks by Joseph Barnes. I watched in awe as the man threw himself into the air and spun across the stage. He landed gently and crouched down like a tiger ready to attack, with his sword held out in front of him. It was impressive, but nothing prepared me for what came next, a man balancing his body on tips of spears. I gasped in amazement all the way through this incredible performance of the Shaolin monks. Trained in the art of Kung Fu at the world-famous Shaolin Temple in China, these monks are so strong that they can break bricks on their bodies and so skilled that they can fight blindfolded without getting hurt. After the performance, I just knew I had to learn more about them. So I did a little research, and then last summer I traveled high into China's Yuntai Mountains, where the stunning scenery takes your breath away, for a month of training at a real Shaolin school. I arrived late at night, exhausted by my long journey, but the next day I was woken up by a bell at 5:40 for a run to the top of a nearby mountain. I struggled slowly upwards, and by the time I reached the top, the Chinese students had crawled back down on their hands and knees to build their muscles and were back at the academy warming up. I looked on in horror as students practiced doing the splits. How will I survive a whole month here? I remember thinking. To my relief, I soon learned that foreigners don't train with the Chinese students. And when my new Shifu, or teacher, Master Jin Long, arrived, he was calm and patient, not fierce and proud like I had imagined. We began by practicing Mabu, a basic Kung Fu position. For this, you stand with your legs bent as if sitting on a chair. It looks simple, but I couldn't do it for more than a few seconds. I felt like a failure. Master Jin Long came over and told me that I would learn little by little. After the class, he told me that a key secret to Kung Fu was repetition, and that I would improve greatly after a lot of practice. An hour later, we finally got breakfast, large bowls of rice and vegetables. Afterwards, it was straight back to the gym to practice basic punches and kicks. In the afternoon, I chose to study Tai Chi, a martial art which focuses on controlling energy. Physical training finished at 6 p.m. after an exhausting 8 hours. Fortunately, evenings were a time to work out our minds with 2 hours of either Mandarin Chinese or meditation classes. Building mental strength and control is an essential aspect of Kung Fu too. By the time the first day was over, I felt almost sick from exhaustion. But as I showered, to my disappointment, in a cold shower, there is no hot water at the school, I told myself that if Shaolin monks could train from 5 a.m. until late in the evening, under much harsher conditions with many of them beginning at the age of 5, then I could survive a month here. Well, the month flew by, and by the end I felt incredible. I couldn't have imagined what a life-changing experience it would be. The monks constantly told us that we would build character and learn humility through hardship and discipline, and that's exactly what I experienced. Although I couldn't quite break bricks on my head, I left the academy with a new inner strength and determined to work hard to achieve my goals in life. Still, upon my return, I couldn't wait for a hot shower and a relaxing sleep in my comfortable bed.
Five B. The Way We Learn. Exercise 2A, page 90.
Take an online course. Watch lectures. Watch educational videos online. Complete an MBA through a Facebook application. Have private lessons. Enroll at a school. Enroll at a university. Have lessons with interactive whiteboards.
Exercise 2B, page 90. Sam.
I'm enrolled at the London School of Business and Finance, and I'm studying for a Master's in Business Administration part-time, through distance learning. The great thing about this course is that it offers free access to study material, videos, lectures, panel discussion groups and student advisors that are available through a Facebook app. I thought I wouldn't be able to do it because I wouldn't have the time, but this is the perfect solution for me because I can access the material anytime from my own home at the click of a mouse.
Brian.
I'm studying with the Open University and it's fantastic. I can log on whenever I want and study at my own pace. And all the resources I need are at my fingertips. I can email or chat online with a tutor anytime I need any help, and I don't have to pay a fortune for books. I'm very happy with this method of learning.
Mary.
I'm learning English with a tutor who comes to my house. It's great to study at home, but the best part is that I get one-to-one attention. I don't have to sit in a large classroom and worry about not hearing or understanding the lesson. My tutor goes over everything with me as many times as I like and at my own pace. I actually think that I'm learning a lot faster than I would in a traditional classroom situation.
Exercise 3, page 90.
Khan Academy. Salman Khan, a Harvard University graduate, sits in a converted cupboard at home in Boston. He's studying for a lecture he's going to give, but it won't be a typical hour-long lecture in a lecture theatre for 40 or 50 students. Salman's lecture will take place on YouTube. It won't last for more than 10 minutes, and it will reach a potential audience of millions. He records up to 8 lectures like this every day. This all grew from a young girl's desire to do better at school. In 2006, Salman's 13-year-old cousin, Nadia, was having trouble with maths, so she asked him if he could tutor her. Then, when other relatives and family friends asked him when he could tutor them too, he didn't want to keep explaining the same things over and over again, so he suggested creating videos and putting them on YouTube. To Salman's surprise, his cousin admitted that she preferred the virtual Salman to the real thing. She explained that on YouTube she could watch the clip whenever she wanted and repeat anything she didn't understand. She was learning successfully, and Khan realized it was because she could go over and over something at her own pace without feeling embarrassed. Salman's homemade video lectures soon attracted people's attention on the net. As he recorded more and more videos, he eventually decided to quit his job as a financial analyst to create a free educational website, the Khan Academy. Before long, tens of thousands of people were watching his lectures every month. In each video, he explains a principle of a subject, ranging from maths, chemistry and economics to history and biology. The clips are far from high-tech. Khan never appears in his videos. Instead, with just his voice and his scribbles on a digital sketchpad, he makes a complicated topic entertaining and easy to understand through his informal chatty style.
My biggest goal is to try to deliver things the way I wish they were delivered to me.
He says, when Salman doesn't know anything about the subject he wants to teach, he gives himself a crash course in it first. He researches it until he feels he can explain it in his own words, step by step, so that a motivated 7-year-old would understand it. Khan admits that he makes occasional errors with this learn-as-you-go approach, but he believes that students see the process better when they watch him stumble through a problem himself. Bill Gates, chairman of Microsoft, claims that Khan is his favourite teacher and uses the videos, which now have about 2 million users, with his children. Some teachers are also using the videos as a teaching resource. They have told their students to use Khan's videos at home and have seen fantastic results. As for the future of the Academy, Salman is planning to translate his videos into 10 languages, and he is even thinking of opening his own private school. He is full of new ideas, such as not dividing classes by age, using board games to teach negotiation skills, and even teaching history backwards. It seems he's committed to challenging and changing the way people learn. In the meantime, though, it's back to his cupboard to record more videos.
Five C. Culture Corner. Exercise 4A, page 92.
The Duke of Edinburgh's Award. The Duke of Edinburgh's Award, also called the D of E, is a very well-known and popular youth programme in the UK that aims to help young people aged 14 to 24 reach their full potential. It gives young people the chance to develop their character and their life skills as they take part in all kinds of exciting extracurricular activities. Started as a small all-boys programme in 1956 by the Duke of Edinburgh, today 275,000 young people from different backgrounds are working towards their D of E at any one time in the UK. Participants can progress through 3 levels of the D of E: the bronze, challenging; the silver, more challenging; or the gold, extremely challenging and not for the faint-hearted. It's definitely not easy to achieve any of the awards. Activities are organised in 4 areas. Volunteering, which could mean volunteering at an animal rescue centre or working in a charity shop for 6 months. Physical, which might be getting a certificate in parachuting or flamenco dancing. Skills, which could be doing a jewellery making, first aid or cookery course. And expedition, which could be planning a rowing trip down the Danube in Germany. All this can take anything from 3 months to 3 years. The best thing is, young people can pick exactly which activities they want to do in each category. Ultimately, it's all worth it, and all the gold awards are presented by the Duke of Edinburgh himself at a royal palace. From beginning to end, it's great fun doing a D of E, and employers, colleges and universities get excited if they see it on a person's CV. The important thing, though, is that
you learn to love something, work hard, be focused and disciplined, and then you will be ready for when the right opportunity comes your way.
As opera superstar Catherine Jenkins said, having completed her silver award.
Five D. Everyday English. Exercise 2A, page 93.
Do you know the title of the book and the author? I'll check on the computer for you. I'm afraid it's out right now. Would you like to reserve it? When will it be back in? Can I take these 2 books out, please? They're due back 1 week from today.
Exercise 2B, page 93.
Hi, I wonder if you could help me.
Of course. What's the problem?
I'm looking for a book for my first aid class.
Do you know the title of the book and the author? I'll check on the computer for you.
It's First Aid Made Easy by Sally Bryan.
All right, just one moment. Oh, yes, I'm afraid it's out right now. Would you like to reserve it?
Yes, please. That would be great. When will it be back in?
It's due back in 3 days. Would you like to leave your name and number? I can call you when we have it.
Oh, yes, thank you. That would be great. It's Jane Smith, 746-3546. Also, can I take these 2 books out, please?
Certainly. Can I see your library card, please?
Yes, here it is.
Okay, there you go. They're due back 1 week from today.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Exercise 4A, page 93. One.
A. Sam came to the library with me yesterday. B. Sam came to the library with me yesterday.
2.
A. You mustn't talk so loudly. B. You mustn't talk so loudly.
Exercise 4B, page 93. One.
A. I'd prefer to go to the library later. B. I'd prefer to go to the library later.
2.
A. John lent me this brilliant book. B. John lent me this brilliant book.
3.
A. The maths test was very difficult. B. The maths test was very difficult.
5E, overcoming the odds. Exercise 1, page 94.
Get a degree. Invent something to improve people's lives. Pass your driving test. Establish a successful business. Win a scholarship to a college. Win a scholarship to a university. Learn to speak a foreign language. Take part in a charity project. Win a sports competition. Do well in your exams. Do well in a test.
Exercise 2, page 94.
The boy who harnessed the wind. Every night, William Kamkwaba's sisters would huddle around the faint light of a kerosene lamp to read and study in the hope of a better future. That was before their brother, who was only 14 at the time, built windmills that brought electricity to his village of Masitala in Malawi, Africa. Now this self-taught inventor is setting his sights even higher, aiming to light up an entire country. It all began with the famine of 2001, when food was so scarce in Malawi that 10,000 people died of starvation. William's family survived on just 1 meal a day, but they didn't have enough money to afford the $80 a year tuition fees for William's school. Forced to drop out, he refused to give up and carried on his education from textbooks in the small local library. There he learned all about electricity and motors. But it was the cover of one book in particular that truly captured his imagination. It showed windmills.
With a windmill, I could stay awake at night reading instead of going to bed at 7 with the rest of Malawi.
William realised.
We'd finally release ourselves from the troubles of darkness and hunger.
He set about building one from an old bicycle and pieces of scrap metal from tractors. Ignoring the other villagers, including his mother, who thought he was crazy, over 2 months he managed to assemble a 5-metre-high windmill that supplied enough power to light 4 small light bulbs. In a country where only 2% of the population has access to electricity, this was like a miracle. Villagers came from all around to see the electric wind. With the addition of another windmill that helped irrigate his father's crops, William was transforming his village through renewable energy all by himself. News of the boy who built windmills spread through blogs and newspaper articles. Brian Miller, an American journalist, had spent 5 years in Africa when he heard about William. He immediately knew that this was the story that he had been waiting for, and in 2009, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind was published. Soon, influential people started to see that William was a real asset to his country, and before long, he was invited to speak at conferences. He had documentaries made about him, and universities abroad were offering him scholarships. William is currently studying for a degree in America, but he plans to return home with more ideas to help his village. Thanks to generous donations, Masitala now has clean drinking water and solar panels. William also finished a project to build new classrooms for his old primary school, which is equipped with laptops that run on energy from his windmills. He still worries about his mother, though.
I haven't solved the problem of firewood. Each day, my mother has no choice but to walk 3 hours to collect a handful of wood to cook the family meal.
It's a walk that gets longer every day as Malawi loses about 500 square kilometres of forest every year due to illegal deforestation. Experiments with solar ovens made out of tinfoil haven't quite worked out yet, so for the moment William has turned to a more hands-on method, planting more trees. William Kamkwaba might not have the solution for everything just yet, but he's a shining example of all that can be achieved when just one person dreams of a better world.
(5F) Taking a gap year. Exercise 1A, page 96.
Work as a beekeeper. Study opera in Italy. Coach football at a school in Zambia. Help rehabilitate injured animals. Drive sled dogs in Siberia. Help build an orphanage in China. Learn to be a cowboy/cowgirl on a ranch. Do a massage course in Thailand. Help conserve coral reefs in Fiji.
Exercise 2, page 96.
Take a break. Chelsea Toblin was feeling burnt out after so much hard work for her degree, and so decided to take a break before starting her master's. Almost as soon as she had made her decision, she was on a plane down under to become a rancher for the next 8 months on an isolated sheep station deep in the Australian outback, hundreds of kilometers from its nearest neighbor. Training as a Jillaroo was just the kind of excitement and sense of freedom that Chelsea had been looking for. But she soon learned that it was back-breaking work too. Not long after she arrived, Her work clothes were already grubby from grooming horses and cleaning out the stables.
The most challenging part of my first week was helping with the sheep shearing. It was a lot harder than I thought. It took all my strength to push the animal into the shearing shed. The shearers were absolutely brilliant too. They work incredibly quickly and can shear a whole animal in less than a minute.
By the time Chelsea left the farm, she had learnt a lot about looking after both horses and sheep, mending fences, lassoing and whip-cracking too. It wasn't all hard work though.
Many evenings, we toasted marshmallows over a campfire, and I played my guitar, and we all sang songs.
Chelsea says.
Above us was the clearest and starriest sky I'd ever seen.
So, what did Chelsea miss most when she got home? Pulling on her cowboy boots, mounting her horse, and riding out into the Australian outback, of course. For Paul Scar, it all started with his sports science degree requirement to do a work-based learning project.
Most students find work locally, but I was keen to volunteer in a needy part of the world,
says Paul. So off he went to Zambia to coach football at a school in a small village not far from the capital, Lusaka. When Paul arrived, he found a rundown schoolhouse with very few resources. He was amazed to see that the children were using rolled-up plastic bags held together with sticky tape to play football. One of Paul's first tasks was to get the children to mark out a full-sized football pitch in a clearing in the woods next to the school. They erected goalposts made from tree branches too. At the first practice, about 75 youngsters arrived, very eager to go. Some had even come from neighboring villages. It was some of the children's first opportunity to play proper football, which isn't surprising when a football costs about $60 and the average monthly wage is just $40. The session was a great success.
After we'd finished practice, the children clapped excitedly, and then they all rushed to clean my boots and get all the kit ready for the next day,
Paul told us. One exciting part of each day for Paul was when he and the children beat the ground of the pitch before they started to play, to chase away poisonous mamba snakes. But despite some difficulties because of the harsh living conditions, it was a great experience for Paul.
The kids are so happy to play and have a coach even though they have so little else. It really made me step back and think about what's important in life.
Ever since Olivia Stewart was a young girl, she has dreamt of singing in a grand concert hall. Her dream became a reality when she interrupted her music degree to take a year off on sabbatical to get a taste of opera in Italy. Living with an Italian family and having language lessons each morning was an essential part of the experience.
Mastering the language takes your performance to an entirely different level when you learn not only how to pronounce the words properly, but also the deeper meaning of what you're singing,
Olivia says.
Opera is like great literature, set to beautiful music. You can't help falling in love with it.
Olivia spent her afternoons having private voice coaching lessons, performance rehearsals, and even Pilates classes to help develop muscles for better breathing control. The highlight of Olivia's stay, though, was performing opera at an open-air concert in a beautiful piazza. After she finishes her music degree, Olivia hopes to make it back to Italy and continue studying opera, and, she says,
to sample more of the amazing Italian gelato, which is to die for.
5G Skills. Exercise 2B, page 98.
In picture A, there are two teenage students sitting at a table, whereas in picture B, there are two mature students and a teacher. In picture A, The girl on the left is using a laptop, and the boy on the right is looking at a textbook. In comparison, in picture B, the woman on the right is using a computer, and the teacher is looking at the screen over her shoulder. There is a man on the left who is also looking at the woman's screen. The students in picture A could be in a library. They may be researching the same topic together or working on a project together. They are working independently outside the classroom. By contrast, in picture B, the students seem to be in a classroom learning practical computer skills, with the teacher on hand to help and answer questions.
Exercise 5, page 98. Speaker 1.
It took me some time to settle into university life. On my first day, I found out that the university had forgotten to put me on the list for a room in the halls of residence. I had to stay in a B&B for 2 weeks, and there was an hour-long bus ride to get to my classes every day. I didn't make many friends at the beginning either, but when I moved into a flat near campus with 2 other girls, that solved everything.
Speaker 2.
When I was choosing which university to go to, I wanted to make sure that I could talk to my sister every day and still enjoy my mum's cooking. So I decided to enroll at a university which is only 45 miles away from my family, and I go home every weekend. It's great. I get all the excitement of university and all the comforts of home too.
Speaker 3.
I have 3 children aged between 6 and 10, and although I love looking after my family, I have always wanted to do an English degree. I doubted that I would have the time to attend lectures and keep up with everything that needs doing at home too, but I'm happy to say that so far I'm managing to do it. I just have to be extra organised, that's all, doing more housework and other jobs at the weekends, so that I can study more during the week.
Speaker 4.
I wasn't really prepared for university. To be honest, it was quite a shock to me. The workload was huge, and the reading lists for each subject were intimidating. The lecturers give you guidance, but you have to do an enormous amount of research in the library. It's very different from school, but slowly I got to grips with it, and I feel like I've handled everything quite well so far.
Speaker 5.
When I finished college, all my friends were going to university, so I thought it would be a good idea to study PE. But there was so much written work about fitness and nutrition on the course that I really struggled to keep up. Eventually, I decided it would be best for me to do something totally different. So I dropped out and got a job working in a gym as a personal trainer. Now, I'm doing a job I love and I'm much happier.
(5H) Curricula. PSHE. Exercise 5A, page 99.
Train your brain. You forgot someone's name, you left your essay at home, or maybe you can't remember where you parked your car. Memory is your ability to store, retain and recall information in your brain, but sometimes our memories let us down. Fortunately, there are lots of creative tricks you can use to keep your memory in top form. Chunking. Try breaking down strings of information, like phone numbers, into smaller chunks. So instead of trying to remember 791845, remember it as 79, 18, 45. This works even better if you associate something meaningful with each chunk too. Let's say you're studying for a history degree at university. You could say 79 AD is the year Vesuvius erupted in Pompeii, 18 is your age, and 45 is your room number in your hall of residence. Finding personal connections like this anchors information in your memory. Thinking in pictures. Try thinking in images rather than words. Let's say you have a new part-time job and your boss's name is Alice Barker. To remind you of her name, make some connections. Alice with Alice in Wonderland, and Barker with a huge barking dog. Now picture Alice falling down the rabbit hole, closely followed by a snarling dog. The more vivid and weird the image is, the better this technique works. Word association. Mnemonics, such as 30 days has September, April, June and November, have long been used by people to help them remember tricky information. So the next time you need to remember the spelling of a difficult word, or the names of some people you've just met, why not try coming up with your own silly rhyme, song or poem? The sillier and funnier the better. Location, location, location. The Romans used a visualization technique called loci to remember lists of things. Imagine a room in your house. Mentally place the things you need to remember on the furniture. When you want to recall the items, take an imaginary walk around the room. When you recall the furniture, which is easy because the room is familiar to you, you'll recall the objects easily too. Practice makes perfect. This is true, but psychologists say that we remember more effectively when we space out our learning. So don't cram for tests and exams. When trying to memorize new words in a foreign language, for instance, repeat them a few times, then take a break. Then come back to them. Perhaps put flashcards around the house with words written on them. You will remember seeing them, and they will be slowly burnt into your long-term memory. These are just a few tips. Experiment to see what works best for you. Above all, eat well and get plenty of sleep and exercise. Staying healthy will give your memory the best boost of all.
Skills Practice 5. Exercise 1, page 102.
Now, if you're thinking about taking a gap year but you're not sure what to do with it, our next guest may be able to help you. Welcome, Amy.
Hello.
First of all, Amy, why did you decide to take a gap year?
Because I'd felt like I'd had enough of formal education, in short. By the time I'd sat my high school exams, I needed a break from studying. Also, I'd never had a job, so I wanted to get some work experience.
So did you go abroad for that, like most gap year students?
Not straight away. I knew I wanted to go to Africa to work as a conservation volunteer. I had a friend who did it, and she said that it was the best experience of her life, so I wanted to do the same thing. The problem was, the program was pretty expensive, so I decided to fund myself by working for a while in the UK first.
Was it easy to find something?
Reasonably. I registered with an unemployment agency. I said I would be happy to do any kind of office work. Before long, I was getting work covering for sick office workers, answering telephones and data entry work, that sort of thing. It was quite tedious, but it was good for my CV, definitely.
And did you succeed in saving enough money to get you to Africa?
It took more than half of my gap year, but I got there in the end.
And did you enjoy it as much as your friend?
Oh, for someone like me who loves wildlife, it was a dream come true. Just living on a South African game reserve is an experience. We'd wake up to the sound of so many birds, and often we'd hear lions roaring while in bed at night. The work involved following and observing big cats like lions and cheetahs. I even helped to fit a monitoring collar on a cheetah one day.
Wow! What was the downside to it?
The accommodation was quite basic, and there wasn't much privacy. The volunteers on the project lived in a farmhouse, and nobody has their own room. There was no electricity, and the showers were always cold. But actually, all those things did me good. Now I really appreciate everything I have here in the UK.
What would you say you learned from the experience?
So many things. A lot of teamwork skills in particular. I also learnt how to use technology I'd never even seen before, like walkie-talkies and a GPS. I learnt basic first aid too. Oh, I even got a little teaching experience at a local school.
It sounds wonderful. If you'd like to learn more about the project Amy took part in, visit our website.
Exercise 1, page 106.
Yuri Rozum Foundation. Russia has always been known for its gifted musicians, and the country has produced some of the greatest composers and performers in history, including world-famous Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff. Nowadays, in order to preserve and continue this great musical tradition, many institutes and private individuals support talented children who hope to one day follow in the footsteps of their forefathers and become musicians. The Yuri Rozum International Charity Foundation was created in 2005 to invest in the musical future of Russia. Since then, it has been awarding scholarships to children from the ages of 7 to 17 who wish to study music but whose parents cannot afford school fees. The idea behind the program is that if a child is talented, they should be given every opportunity to be able to develop their skill. To select the children who will be given an award, competitions are held every year in all of Russia's regions. Children are invited to come and perform before a jury of judges who decide whether they are worthy of an award or not. Those who are selected are given financial support to help them with their musical studies for 1 year. They can spend this money to buy instruments, pay school fees or private lessons, and for travel and living expenses if they have to live away from home. At the end of the year, judges review the participants' progress, and if they believe that the child has worked well, the scholarship can be renewed for another year. Money to support the foundation is raised in different ways, but the main fundraising events are concerts. Every year on the UNESCO International Day for the Protection of Childhood, the foundation holds a music festival in Moscow, during which the winners of the previous year's scholarship perform. It is a fantastic way to show what great work the foundation does and raise money to help even more young musicians.